There's nothing in this world that frustrates me more personally than seeing potential go unfulfilled and unrealized. It aggravates the ever loving piss out of me when I see people that have worked hard for so many years to, really cultivate the God given talents that they have. And just as they're ready to really make something for themselves and be a good role model and a good example of what hard work and dedication can bring you in this life, they sit there and take those opportunities and piss them down their freaking legs. And a notable example of this to me is Josh Gordon with the Cleveland Browns. Here is an immensely talented wide receiver, one of the most physically gifted wide receivers in the National Football League. A guy who, in only 14 games last season, managed to still lead the NFL in receiving yards. This is a guy that you look at and you say, this is a special talent. But unfortunately, he's his own worst enemy. And is so often the case when it comes to when we have personal demons, when we have those battles with addiction, it makes idiots out of geniuses. It makes sane people go insane. And it's just like it shuts down your decision-making mechanisms and makes you the biggest idiot in the entire world. You look at Josh Gordon. Here is a guy with the world potentially at his fingertips, at his beck and call, waiting for him to reach up and grab it and seize the world and make a fortune and become a star, and God only knows, maybe someday become a Pro Football Hall of Famer, be a great player for many years to come, be a legend in Cleveland and in Ohio for the rest of his life. And he can't get off the marijuana. He can't leave fucking booze alone. He drops hot for drug tests. Now he just recently got arrested, I believe, for a DWI. And you sit there and say, what in the fuck is wrong with you? How in the hell can you have the world at your fingertips and manage to find a way to consistently screw things the hell up? But the sad thing is that it's not that simple. We could sit there and look and pass judgment from the outside looking in and say, how can you do this? How stupid can you be? Well, we're right. Josh Gordon is stupid. And how stupid can you be? But again, it's not that simple. Let's face it, we all have vices in our everyday lives. Some more troublesome, some more problematic than others. We all have those addictions, those vices, if you will. I know I've never really been a drinker. Back when I was younger, I would smoke weed, but never on a consistent basis, and it's probably been about 8 years since I touched this stuff, and I have no desire personally to ever touch it again. I know I've always had two major vices during my adult life. Over the past 15 years, I'm 33 now. And that was caffeine, and that's nicotine. And a little over a year ago, I was able to kick the caffeine habit. It kills me sometimes still to not be able to have a Mountain Dew, which is something I used to love to drink all the time, or a Pepsi, but no caffeine. I had to cut it out for health reasons, and it was time. But the one thing after all of these years that I still can't fully quit is nicotine. I stopped smoking cigarettes a couple of years ago, but it just led me to Black and Milds. It just led me to these cancer sticks. And it's like, I know it's bad. And I know what it could do to my body. I know that someday this habit here could potentially fucking kill me. I know what it's done in terms of contributing to some of the problems I have with my heart, in terms of my pulse shooting up and down at random times with no real rhyme or reason. I see what it's done in terms of my freaking teeth and how messed up and mangled they freaking are and have been for a long time because of my use and abuse, frankly, of substances like caffeine and nicotine for freaking years. But yet that doesn't stop me from still lighting it up several times a day. Now, to my credit, I'm doing maybe half of the smoking that I did a year ago. So I'm on my way. But I know this shit is bad, and I still fucking do it. I know this could kill me, and I still can't find the way and the willpower, the rhyme, or the reason to be able to find myself sitting there and saying, you know what, enough is enough, and it is time to just quit. I view myself as a relatively sane individual. I view myself as a relatively intelligent individual. But yet, when it comes to nicotine, and if I go without it for a period of time, it takes my sanity and makes me completely insane. And it sits there and really makes an idiot out of a genius. It makes me a moron, and it leads me to making bad decisions. In this case, not getting behind the wheel drunk, not sitting there doing this or doing that. It's just a simple fact of taking this, putting it in my mouth, and lighting it the fuck up and smoking it. And it's like I sit there and I look at myself sometimes and I'm like, you know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen if you keep doing it. Why in the fuck would you keep doing it? And as a result, what is it going to take for you to stop doing it once and for all? You've cut out the other vice. You don't have really any other vices to speak of. Why can't you quit this? And I sometimes wonder what it would take. And so it was interesting when I heard Cris Carter suggest, because he would know, because he experienced this once and he had these same demons that he battled and was able to successfully battle and go on to save himself and become a Pro Football Hall of Famer. He suggested that Josh Gordon should be released. And you know what? Maybe there's something to that. Maybe when you look at just how many opportunities Josh Gordon has had to straighten himself out, and he can't help himself. He can't fight the battle. He can't beat these demons. He can't make the right necessary judgment calls to do the right things, which is not to light up the fucking bowl, bong, blunt, or joint, or to sit there and put bottle to fucking mouth. It's similar to like a Justin Blackmon, for example. I empathize, I really do. Because while, addiction to alcohol and, nonstop smoking marijuana, when it can cost you your fucking career, seems worse than my addiction to this, it's still an addiction, and I battle it on a daily basis, and I totally empathize, and I totally sympathize with Josh Gordon and so many other people that battle these problems and battle these demons and battle against these addictions. It's not easy. It takes willpower and courage and a dedication and a nonstop can-do attitude, frankly, to be able to quit them. And in that order to beat them. And sometimes, really, you need reality to smack you square in the fucking face and tell you, you know what? It's time to shape up or ship the fuck out. And maybe that's what Josh Gordon needs. Maybe he needs the threat of having his NFL dream being yanked away from him. Maybe he needs people to stop enabling him. Maybe he needs people to stop sitting there and excusing his behavior and allowing his behavior. Maybe it is time for him to find real friends. Maybe it is time for him to get a real support system around him to sit there and tell him, hey, ding dong, dumb dick, stop doing the dumb shit that could potentially ruin your career, if not your life and potentially others around you. But it's also sad, too, to think that it would have to go to those lengths. You would have to go and stoop to that level in order to straighten somebody out, in order to get somebody to sit there and say, hey, asshole, straighten up your shit, or you're going to lose everything you've worked your whole life for. I hope ultimately that the Cleveland Browns don't decide to release Josh Gordon. I hope they don't. I hope he's able to come to his senses. I hope the Cleveland Browns provide that infrastructure. The NFL provides that infrastructure to help this young man out. Give him the help that he needs. Give him the help that he should want. And I hope Josh Gordon realizes that he might not have any more chances. It is time to straighten your shit up or ship the fuck out and go on to Loserville and waste away the rest of your life wondering what could have and should have been. I hope that happens. But damn it all, at some point in time, you got to sit there and say, maybe he needs shock treatment. And maybe he needs this smack in the face. And somebody like a Cris Carter suggested, he would know. Because it happened to him when the Eagles released him. And it woke him up. Maybe that's what he needs. I don't like to come on here and make fun of Josh Gordon. I've done it before on Twitter, but at the same point in time, I feel kind of like a hypocrite because I have my own battle with an addiction myself. Now, you might not classify an addiction to this the same as his addictions or his demons, but it's still a vice. It's still an addiction nonetheless that could potentially ruin lives. So I really hope that Josh Gordon looks himself in the mirror. I hope Josh Gordon takes a look and steps back and analyzes what could be and what can be or what will be if he continues to go down this path. I hope this young man finds a way to really, really take ownership of who he is, take some accountability for what he has done and what he has become, and makes the necessary life-changing decisions that he needs to do to, first and foremost, most importantly, straighten out his life. And then second of all, be able to allow him to go back to play the game that he loves, the game that he has these tremendous God-given talents, the game that he was born to play. And he has worked so many years to be able to play. Please, Josh Gordon, do yourself and everybody involved a favor. Get your shit straight. Straighten yourself out. You can do it. And I say that to anybody that is battling an addiction. You can do it. I hope you do. I hope you do. Because I don't want to look back 5 years from now and say, man, it was a shame what happened with Josh Gordon. I want to look back 5 years from now and see Josh Gordon as one of the best receivers in the National Football League. And I want to see him being a perfect example of a guy who was given a second chance, given one more chance, and he made the most of it. I want him to be a role model for millions of other Americans that are battling addictions, battling their inner demons, and saying, hey, you know what? I beat it, and you can do it too. Because there are lots of people like me that frankly could use that encouragement and could use that infusion of confidence from people like Josh Gordon.